right there. Right there.
But you gave it to me last time. Tastes the same.
You're just a baby mama, huh? You're a baby mama. How many babies did you have? Let me know if you need any help with them.
Just to do this. Yeah, I would do it. I put 2 nuts in my mouth, save time, save energy. Eat 2 breakfast burritos, though. Liz, you get out here adequately, like, that's more my speed. Yeah. I could. I mean, proportionately, it's about the same size. I could easily carry that one. Yeah, and since I don't generally climb up a tree, I could drive with 2 breakfast burritos in my mouth and get them into the house.
Not those 2 that you don't take out of contest with
No.
2 years ago.
That was
Way too big.
Oh my god, that I did get the burrito sweats with that. That was huge.
I have a picture of that I found. Those burritos from that day.
For some reason, this one is not opening, so I would like it to.
Here we go. Working on it. Why is it not doing it? Let's get out of it. Go back into it. Huh. Something went wrong. Wonder what happened. I just turned it that way. Well, you're gonna have to overlook some of those things. So I read the images. So if you did open that, just follow along. We got those 2 images of Teddy Roosevelt again, and then the quote. The quote again is, "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again. Because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end of triumph a high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who never know victory or defeat." Daring greatly. So a revered researcher and professional social worker at the University of Houston, Brene Brown, my hero, is known worldwide for her best-selling books, The Gifts of Imperfection and Daring Greatly, which sprang from her years of research and self-proclaimed spiritual breakdown and awakening she experienced after the viral success of her TED Talks. If you haven't seen them, you have to, on vulnerability and shame. Vulnerability is at the core of the heart, the center of meaningful human experiences. Truth be told, about the amount of wisdom in this entire book, Daring Greatly, is mind-boggling. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of potential themes in that book. A one-sentence summary of it, if you haven't gotten to it yet, Daring Greatly is a book about having the courage to be vulnerable in a world where everyone wants to appear strong, confident, and like they know what they're doing. Daring Greatly sure was a surprise hit for me. Vulnerability means strength, not weakness. So that, for me, it was that one-sentence summary that struck me a lot about the teaching of yoga, because there are so many yoga teachers out there who just want to convey that they know what they're doing. I have figured it all out. Don't panic. I'm 100% organic, and I will lead you from impossibility to complete possibility, and you will earn your unicorn horn. So instead, it's so interesting for people to recognize that they've come across friendly on the path, that an ally, a potential someone to help hold their hand while they themselves try to put the steaming pile of shit down. Not only is her use of the quote inspiring, and that could have been inspiring enough. She could have been like, just read that quote, walked away from the stage, and been like, I better not get any negative feedback on my Twitter, yo, because it's just so unbelievable. It was a great quote, but instead, that's her story is. She is an introvert, and she tells me she's an introvert. Okay, and can you imagine how terrifying it is to step up on one of those stages and have that massive camera in your face, okay, and have a body of work that before no one was really taking like the great pop culture wasn't into shame research. And now, she's so unbelievably powerful. We're like, oh yeah, I am into shame. Whereas, there are definitely people who would not, I guarantee my mom would not have sought out that. But now my mom is like, have you read Renee's? Have you listened to Renee's new podcast? She is transparent and clearly lives, eats, and breathes with authenticity and her very messy grace. I love her. She's the author of 6 books. She's an anchor and subject of many podcasts. And I have 2 links. One is her trailer, and I think you can definitely use it in your social media if you're talking about what it is you're doing this weekend. And then the next one is the Netflix link into watching her full video. That is from my account. And so if you don't have Netflix and you're like, I don't have Netflix, I can't afford to, I don't know, it's probably like $8 to watch it, just use my account. So if you go into my account, the password is Frano12345. And then I'll change it in a couple weeks. But you can use my Netflix to use it. Everybody's using my Netflix to watch it, so it's fine. Let's see. Her inspiration is essential as yours. Collect your list of inspirational resources. Collect, list, and organize. Just like I recommended you do with your photos, I want you to start to collect inspiration. Don't just be like, Shannon, what do you research for inspiring sources? Every time I get asked that, you're lucky you're not in person with me because I laugh out loud. I don't know what inspires you. I don't know what breaks your heart. I don't know if you collect images of puppies who have survived massive abuse and are finally in their forever home. I do. I have a whole file of things from Dodo. I save that shit. It's just, I'm so in love with the animal world. But you might be like, it doesn't really do it for me, but I guess I'll collect it anyway, because if it inspires you, maybe somebody else will inspire. No, you got to start collecting things that inspire you. It's like at the beginning of 200-hour teacher trainings, all the time I get this text message or this email. What should I eat? I don't know. You got to eat what it is you want to eat. I don't know when it is you should eat. We've got to examine ourselves, figure out what it is that feeds us, not just our bodies, but our souls. Consider dividing a list to support your individual bodies of work. So we'll look at your individual bodies of work later this afternoon, but I have different pieces of inspiration that I use for the classes that are more workshop-based than that I use for classes that are more myth and motion-based. So I really don't know that I've ever done a Rumi anything for a One Earth Alignment flow, but I use Rumi all the time for poetry and motion. I don't often use mythology in One Earth Alignment flow, but I use it every week in myth and motion, because poetry and motion is the one I use the poetry in. All right, and then I want you to reference and share. So I definitely have come across a bunch of teachers who try to be so profound as they're like, this is my great quote. And they actually quote themselves. It's just like, make America great again, Donald Trump. It's like, we all know who said it first. Instead, quote someone else. So, because it draws connection. A few weeks ago, Emily said something so brilliant, and I've used it a number of times in class, but instead of using it in class as, notice how brilliant I am, because you are safe enough. Because she was like, I recognized in class that I can't tell people you're entirely safe, because that's a bald-faced freaking lie. You're not entirely safe, you're safe enough. The werewolf still might come in and get you, chances are low. Space trash might hit you. Then I had to watch the movie Armageddon. Shit is real. And you want to give credit where credit is due. And it draws connections. Like my friend Emily came up with this quote, and it really gave me some deep resonance. So every time I've written it, every time I've shared it, instead of you're safe enough, Shannon Page, I draw a connection. You're safe enough. Spoken by Emily Horner. Okay? You want to do that with one another. You want to do that with quotes. Give the quote and then unpack it with your own personal understanding of it, and we all go to the next level. What constitutes a great resource? It's relevant to your story. It's relevant to your story. It is real and impactful to your heart. If Rumi doesn't light you up, stop using it. Share these with your work. You're sharing these with your work. Your class themes, your workshop themes, your social media stories, resources go. Unpack them, make them your own, and websites reference list. So a website reference list, a reading list, this is huge, and I want to make sure we all do this. So this is what you're going to do over lunch, is I want you to at least start to collect a few inspirations, because I'm going to have you share these in your homework. You need to have at least 5 books on a book list that you recommend. And I challenge you to post these in your social media this next week and offer a challenge. I mean, I'm sure you got forwarded your 5 top book picks, and then I'm giving this to these 7 people to carry on in a challenge. Come up with maybe a way to do it yourself, of being like, I'm not going to force any of y'all to do this on your own, but if you want to send me back your 5 top inspirational books, but it's something really interesting for people to be like, what is Shannon reading right now? Like, does Shannon read during the shutdown? Or does she just have every Sex in the City memorized? She does. So people will be interested in that. Also, this is a great time for you to start to collect those trigger images with those great quotes. Like we saw in that Brene Brown, like the image made you read that quote a little bit differently. So that image resource, I want you to start to catalog, and I want you to share it with others so that you can use it on your website and like have this be like a running list of books. Like my book list is woven into the syllabus. Like if you're not teacher training, you don't have that ease of a book list that is so transparent. You actually can have more of a playful way of sharing that. I actually read 4 grade novels while I was in Powell. And so I know, all of a sudden she's like, which ones are those? All of a sudden Joelle became interested. And so like, I'm gonna share those on social media, okay? All right, you got lunch now. And the time that we have right now, for those of us that are live, we ran over quite a bit, like I mentioned that we might. Oh, actually, you only ran over a little bit. Please come back at 2,000. That's so funny. Instead, just 2 o'clock. I have an extra 0 with me. Come back at 2,000. All right. So you have just 50 minutes between now and our next session, and it's going to be bio work. So, and general social media and video bio. It's going to be really good stuff. I'm very excited about this. All right. Go forth. Conquer.
Lunch
homework is just make a general list of things that are inspirational. You might even work on your image inventory. Just do something. You can also work on your hero story. That's going to be homework tonight too. So yeah, but since you're not going to be with us tomorrow, you can work on anything you want to, Evelyn. We're welcome to. All right. Bye. I have to go home and feed my squirrel.
Can I show you real quick?
Yeah.